Hi, everybody. It is Saturday, November 6th. And I just want to give you just kind of a small update of some of the messages that I've been receiving from my guides. And again, like they usually just sort of speak telepathically in my mind, sometimes in the middle of the day, sometimes, but mostly at night. And the reason why is, I think I explained it before, but it's because your spirit is more free when your body's asleep, because your body is, our physical bodies for the most part are it's just a biological vessel for us, and they get very distracting. So as a matter of fact, that's really how you try to get in touch with your higher self or the spiritual world at all, is you have to. That's why you see these guys at the top of the mountains, going and trying to get into nature and be someplace quiet. That's how, because we have so much static, so much noise around us, it's hard to hear when they're trying to contact us, that type of thing. So what they've been telling me lately is they've been constantly sort of clarifying, and they give me some updates of what's going on too. But they basically clarify a lot of my questions, sort of. In the past, they would just openly just tell me things, and it'd be like, wow, okay. And now lately, I've been actually asking them things to clarify certain things. So, as fantastical as it sounds, until years from now, then you guys are going to realize this is the norm. But we're all connected to source, or to the force, or whatever you want to call it, or God. But we've chosen to reside, for the most part, into reality worlds. That's kind of what I call them. It's you could you could look at them like it's a holographic world that you can go into and experience things. But it's almost kind of the opposite. What it is we are non-physical beings, so we create physical realities to inhabit. So it's kind of like, instead of a fantasy, it's actually a physical reality. But these physical realities are, it's a wide variety of them. There's huge variety of them out there, and they're all over the place. And that's why also the description of different densities and things like that. The best way for me to try to describe that as well is it's like radio stations or radio channels. So they all these realities exist in a certain frequency. To sort of reach them, you have to know the coordinates of them. Sort of, you can dial them in or not. And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, so I'll go into that some other time in more depth. But for myself, yeah, I'm not from Earth originally. And that is where I reside. That's probably the best way to describe us as a spiritual being. We like particular things. Like, we actually have our own individual personalities, and there's some people that like, they live where they reside. Usually is like, for instance, a water world where it's mostly water, and some it's like there's a desert world, and then there's be like a jungle world or a forest world, that type of thing. It's like, so you generally you levitate or gravitate to that, and so that's the kind of world you want to exist in. So your spiritual body, it basically inhabits a physical entity on a particular world out in the universe, and there's even multiple universes. Like, people just don't. It's really hard to wrap your head around, and I know that's one of the harder things to do, is how old Earth is extremely, extremely old. We're being lied to about this, like, thousands of years old. It's literally just billions and billions of years old. And the universe is like so old. You guys we're just going to be waking up to the fact that our minds have been wiped, so we have no memory of our past. Well, some people do. That's the cool part about it. Some people go, I in my dreams, I'll fantasize about this world that I've been in, and all these friendly people I hang out with. It seems like home to me, because in reality, that's probably where you normally reside. So that's in a sense where you yearn to be now, because Earth in particular, well, I guess in a sense whether you realize it or not, depending on how long you've been here, uh, you've decided to come to Earth for an adventure. That's kind of what we do, but it's beyond just adventure. It's like learning and experiencing things. So that's kind of how I always look at these. So when I look at different planets and things like that, I always look at it like it's like a learning module or an experience module. And you've chosen to come here, but that was probably who knows how long ago, thousands of years ago, and whether you realize it again or not, because your memory is wiped, um, and it's actually on purpose with planet Earth, so it's really difficult to maintain memories here, because there are controllers that have hijacked this world, this physical reality dome, sort of. They're trying to capture. Well, they've kind of captured us, and they want us to stay, and they feed off of our energy. I know it's kind of a strange concept. So going back to trying to describe me, why I came here, is I'm from another. They haven't. They give me some words to try to describe it. From where I'm at, they said I reside in a sixth density world someplace, and but I'm a ninth density being, and I exist. That's where I reside. In other words, that's sort of my particular favorite place to reside. I guess it is where I really resonate with. And I I'll just kind of describe it this way. I volunteer to go on adventures, and adventures to me are always like problem solving. It's like, do you want to go here and try to help fix this problem? You want to go here, whatever. So that's kind of why I volunteered to come here. But it wasn't just me. There's hundreds of thousands of volunteers that have come here, let alone the people that have actually come here thousands of years ago, which are probably in a sense more human because they've been there longer. What I mean by that is, like, you gotta pretend as if this is like a really popular city, and people have migrated here from other little towns, other cities. So it's like nobody's really from Earth. Nobody's like a Earth human. Only unless, for instance, you say, well, this guy's been here the longest, so he experienced Earth the longest, so we'll call him a Earth human, that type of thing. So they can kind of show you the ropes because they've been around Earth for a lot longer time, that type of thing. So they're used to it, and a lot of beings have decided to make this their residence, where they reside, and they've been reincarnated over and over again, being used by entities that have hijacked this world and are controlling it. So they've manipulated it for their purpose. So that's why everybody feels that. I know that it resonated with me when I first came here. Not first came here, but even ever since. Every time I come here, it's always the biggest thing I always realize is like, wow, this place is not fair. It's just really it's not, there's something wrong. It's just not right. It's just, it doesn't work with the way our spirits are, because our spirits are really quite free, like our true spirits. We're free to, and we're free to kind of go different places and experience different things. Well, they've basically captured us, and they've forced us to live a lifestyle that we don't want. And if you haven't noticed, it's basically, it's a world built on hierarchy. Like there's always like a king, someone at the top, and we're always at the bottom. You got to work your way up, and the only way to really do this is by being really violent or destructive, or being on their side. Like if you know, if you basically do what they want, their bidding, then they'll make your life sort of a little bit easier. That type of thing. So that's what makes this experience being on Earth really difficult, really extremely difficult. So by me coming here, um, what I've decided to be, that's why it just becomes more and more clear all the time, is I am kind of like the eyes and the ears of, um, it's sort of like, almost kind of like a secret agent, I guess is one way to explain it. But I've come here to try to experience this world again, like pick up as much intel as I can, and whatever I see and hear and experience is relayed to, and that's why I call it the Council of Five, because that's in a sense who I'm working for, which isn't, like I said, five beings. It's a multitude of beings, but they're they have a council, but so they make decisions. And this is where it gets interesting. They make decisions on whether to intervene or not. If things get way out of hand, they kind of try to steer it gently. But here's where it gets tricky: is because they're not allowed, or they don't want to interfere with people's free will, and also just because normally when you come into a reality like this, you just let it play out naturally. So it's like, because just out of pure, I'm trying to remember the right word for this, but it's, but just out of pure experience, it will sort of become its own experience. In other words, it's not steered in one way or direction. It just naturally will flow. So that's normally how it works, and that's why it's almost like and outside entities aren't allowed or shouldn't interfere with the classroom that's in session. That's kind of how I look at it. It's like there's so you don't interfere, but as you noticed, we have been interfered with a lot, and that's where the Council of Five comes in, because they try to set things straight as much as possible. They try to correct if there's a lot of problems, and especially in this case, because we've been manipulated by basically negative entities that are trying to control us and use us. That's kind of in a nutshell. It gets more complicated than that. But anyway, so I'm here more as a undercover agent, try to what I see or experience is relayed to them, and then they make decisions on how to correct it. That's basically kind of where we're at right now. And so basically, I'm getting intel on kind of what they've been up to. So what they've been basically up to is stopping whatever the dark entities are doing to us. They're basically trying to reverse the effects. So for instance, if they were trying to plan a big huge earthquake, well, they basically physically tried to stop that. Well, they didn't try, they stopped that. Or for instance, I'm not sure if you noticed this summer, there was like a bunch of big hurricanes that the dark side was trying to build up, do big destruction. But by the time they hit shore, they was like, okay, it was just a tropical storm after all. That's happened over and over again. And lately, they're trying to stop that big landslide with the volcano at the Canary Islands, and they're basically nullifying that too. So basically, in a sense, what they're doing is they're offsetting anything physical on this Earth, turning it into kind of not necessarily a positive thing, but they're basically churning it around so it won't have a negative effect. So that's kind of what they're doing right now. So if you want to, that's kind of the obvious things that you can see they're doing. Um, and then there's subtle things behind the scenes that they're doing a lot too. But again, they can't physically interfere with our free will, so they have to kind of do it really carefully. Um, so that's why you don't really see a lot of overt things that they're doing. It's more behind the scenes. So they're okay. It's a silly way of putting it, but in a sense, they've got our backs. That's kind of what they're doing right now. And so as we go forward, that's why I'm not really worried, because I know that they're helping us get through this. But like I said, it is like a giant classroom, and all of us are learning and having a lot of really deep experiences. And so that's why, for instance, the timing right now might seem off. I'm trusting their judgment because they see it from a further back or outside perspective, so they know. Well, they know what we're experiencing, what we're going through, and I'm trusting their judgment to do the right thing, and I guess in a sense just to help us learn this multiple lessons that we're going through right now. So if I can just kind of give you a little bit of encouragement, don't worry about these crazy things that they're gonna try to do, because we've got a lot of help that's actually turning things around the other way. So it's my little update for Saturday. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.